Hello and welcome to the segment number 9 of the course Geographical Peculiarities of the place Kuttanad, its environmental issues and engineering solutions. So, in the previous 8 segments we have been discussing with regard to the geographical peculiarities, its geological peculiarities, the soil of Kuttanad, the flood affected issues, what are the peculiarities of the past flood and the current 2018 mega flood, the flood mitigation measures, the flood adaptation techniques. Then we saw some of the case studies based on the knowledge acquired in Alappuzha Canal Rejuvenation Project, other canal rejuvenation projects in Kuttanad, the polder wall construction, the improvisation of polder walls, then the why structures failure in Kuttanad, is it just because of flood alone or other reasons. Then based on the information collected gathered, then how the soil is improvised has been seen as case studies in one of the previous segments. Then finally, in the previous segment we discussed about some of the protocols which were formed for polder wall constructions, the Padasekaram bund constructions, what are to be done, what are not to be done, and how to take care of the high wind as well as high velocity of water. So, these things were discussed in the previous 8 segments. Now, in this segment, this is going to be the last segment of the set of courses, set of say segments. In this, we are going to summarize the things. So, which are the major environmental issues in Kuttanad and which are the proposed solutions based on the projects which we have exercised in the past and based on the knowledge we have gathered in the past. So, currently these are recognized as the major environmental issues in Kuttanad, and some of the proposed solutions based on engineering or otherwise are also given in this particular segment. So, we will go ahead from here. If you list out the major environmental issues in Kuttanad based on the geography of the place and based on the natural actions and the human actions in the place, they will be like this. Flood is a natural phenomena in the place for sure. So, flood assisted issues owing to improper land use. So, flood causes a problem only if the land use is improper. So, loss of habitat is an issue, agricultural produce, loss of agricultural produce is also an issue. So, this happens only because the land use and land cover pattern is improper in the place. So, some of the remedies have already been discussed in the previous segment, so but they are going to be summarized in this particular segment. Second major environmental issue is recognized as the inadequate waste disposal mechanisms. So, the wastes are produced in the place by the inhabitants. The natural habit of the people is just to throw away the waste to the water bodies and to the wetlands, and that is causing trouble for sure. Then the waste which is flowing from other places, other towns which are close by, other places which are close by, the pilgrimage centers which are close by, water is coming through the rivers from this pilgrimage centers carrying all such kind of waste, and final deposition region will be Kuttanad. Then excessive use of pesticides and fertilizers, chemical fertilizers in the paddy fields. Of course, we require excellent agricultural produce, and that is fruitful only through the use of chemical fertilizers and chemical pesticides. We cannot avoid that. But finally, when the water from the polders are pumped out to the water body, these are going to mix with the drinking water sources, and that may cause contamination to water and finally leading to the health hazards of the people. Then of course, because of these reasons, we can say water everywhere but not a drop to drink. That is true in the case of Kuttanad for sure. Scarcity of potable water. What is the solution? What is the way out of this? Then of course, adding fuel to fire, we have improper sanitation because of the low-lying area, dissipation of waste. The human waste is a difficult issue. We have already discussed in one of the previous segments with regard to the waste disposal or improper waste disposal rather of the tourism sector, the houseboat sector to be precise. Then of course the non-engineered construction activities. So we have had certain case studies in the previous segments. We have discussed several protocols in one of the previous segments regarding this, but these five of these problems are recognized as the major environmental issues. You can add many more to them, but many will be associated to one or many others of these particular issues. So let us see now what are the solutions. So before we pass on to the solutions of this or probable solutions of this, let us see through pictures how these environmental issues can be recognized. So what you see here is a photograph taken by me standing on a bridge which is across the Pulingunnu river. You can see a church over there in the photograph, and this is a photograph taken during a flood season. So you can stand on the bridge and take the photograph. So what happened is the water coming from the eastern side that carried lot of waste, and the waste is accumulated below the bridge. So even you can see very heavy trunks of trees, sometimes house utensils are also there along with that, the door frames, window frames, other kinds of things are also coming along with such kind of waste. So sometimes I have seen people walking through the waste, so they can just the thickness of waste is in such a fashion that they can walk through the waste, walk over the waste. So this every year the panchayat is spending lakhs of rupees for taking care of such kind of an issue. So it is just an example. This happens wherever there is obstruction of water, this particular kind of waste accumulation happens. You see, this kind of a picture is very common nowadays in Kuttanad. Even if it is not a monsoon season, this kind of a picture is very common. People have to resort to say small kind of bridges which they make by themselves to travel to the pathway or to the road which is nearby. Their houses are already drowned under the water. So sanitation needed to say with regard to how the waste is going to be dissipated. So it is a very severe kind of an issue, sanitation. People use the water bodies available for washing their clothes, for cleaning their utensils, etc. So the grey water, the soap water, etc., it is going to the same water body from where they take their drinking water also, and the water for cooking purposes is also taken from the same water body. So you can imagine what is going to be the health standard of the people over there. You see, such kind of a scenario is very common after any given flood in Kuttanad. Needless to speak on this in detail. And you see the construction activities which are going on there without much engineering. The soil has to be taken care of very, very, very carefully. Human being can intervene into the soil bearing capacity only to a limited extent, because soil is something which is not actually under our custody. Soil behaves by its own. We do not know what is going to happen beneath the soil, whether there is some scoring, whether there is some flowing away of soil because of undercurrents and things like that. But we have to do some kind of soil stabilization techniques before we actually design the foundations for such kind of buildings. Every time whenever we do such kind of thing, we have to take a factor of safety of 2.5 or above. That is the actual load coming divided by the maximum load. Or the other way, the maximum load divided by the maximum divided by the actual load coming over the structure. So that number is close to 2.5 or 3 because of the uncertainty in soil. So these are some of the environmental issues in pictures. Now we are going to see some of the proposed solutions in the next slide. Yeah, certain proposed solutions and certain remarks which I have made with regard to the environmental issues are as follows. The four major rivers which are flowing towards the southern region of Kuttanad and the other river which is flowing in the northern region of Kuttanad, they shall flow continuously from the east to the west or to the north through Kuttanad, and water requires space to rest before slowly running off to the sea during monsoon season. So if there is intermittent continuous flow of water from the western ghats through the rivers through Kuttanad to the sea, if it is continuously happening, then it is happening like a flushing system. Whatever waste is coming, that will be flushed off to the sea. But of course, throwing of plastic waste is not good into the water for sure. So, the waste which could not be decomposed by the sea water should not be thrown for sure. But otherwise, whatever is supposed to be otherwise dumped in the Kuttanad region would have flushed away to the sea if there is continuous flow. But you can see that is not happening. In between there is hindrances, and because of that the waste is getting deposited in certain locations in Kuttanad, and that causes trouble even to the health of the people. So, this continuous flushing has to happen, as Kuttanad always have fertile soil and water for agriculture produce like rice, coconut, vegetables, fish, etc. Continuous nourishing and replenishment of nutrients are necessary to maintain fertility. So, this is happening because of the some kind of silt deposition, which the silt is actually taken by the water through the rivers from the hilly areas, and that is deposited in Kuttanad region. So, that is actually making the soil fertile. So, continuous flow of water is required for this purpose also. Just to bring that into to the forefront, I have just given this particular point. There should be fertility improvement of the soil through silt deposition, that is also required, but not waste deposition, but only through silt deposition as well as organic matter deposition. Then multiple crops of rice and fish and fish crops intermittently are being experimented. What I meant here is multiple crops of rice or multiple crops of rice and fish are intermittently experimented by farmers. Water shall be made available for the punja crop, that is summer season, and excess of water shall be kept away from the second crop or the monsoon crop. So, for this the regulators which are available there in Kuttanad, they have to work properly. The Thottapalli spillway and the Thaniyamukam barrage, they have to work to their maximum capacity and to their envisaged purpose to make this possible, to make this happen. Well, one very important observation which is made during the 2018 flood is this. During the 2018 flood, paddy cultivation was being practiced in 45% of the field, and much of them were inundated during the flood. Storm water needs wetlands to reside till they reach the sea. Identifying wetlands and suitable paddy fields where water can retention can be exercised during monsoon is extremely important. So, the first point is very important. So, usually during the monsoon season, the crop is not ensured in 45% of field or so. 18% to 20% of the fields would be undergoing second crop. But here in 2018 it happened, so close to 50% of the fields were under cultivation of paddy, but much of the paddy fields were inundated, and they lost their agriculture produce, as well as that actually added fuel to fire, increased the effect of flood also. So, we require to identify certain paddy fields where the water can reside before they actually pass on to the sea, because the other water bodies of Kuttanad, they are not sufficient to hold water during the monsoon season. So, we require to identify such kind of wetlands and paddy fields where water can retain for some time, and later they can be pumped out to the water bodies and pumped to the sea, depending upon the outflow capacity. So, there is a certain inflow capacity, and putting together the capacities of the Thottapalli spillway, the Thaniyamukam barrage and other openings to the sea, we have to decide upon how much water can go out to the sea at a given point of time, and how much time is required for that. If the inflow is more than that, of course in monsoon it is more than that. If the inflow is more than that, then there will be flooding in the particular region. So, that can be regulated if you follow this particular hydrology pattern. That is what is meant by this. Well, that is what is given in the next point also. The Thottapalli spillway on the southwest side of Kuttanad play only a limited role in diverting the storm water. Of course, as I told you in one of the previous segments, it is working only up to its 1/3 capacity. So, the leading channel is a shallow one. So, as far as possible, the leading channel may be widened, and some depth also may be given to that for sure. But at the same time, if it is working with its full capacity, then the 4 rivers which are bringing water as well as sediments to Kuttanad, they will bypass part of them will be bypassed through the Thottapalli spillway and water may run off to the sea directly without having any desirable effects in Kuttanad. The natural fishing also may be affected in such a case. So, we have to remove the hindrances in the passage of water, and water has to flow through Kuttanad, and it has to flow through the entire Kuttanad and pass on to the sea through the Cochin estuary. Estuary at Kochi is the major exit point of water runoff. The Thaniyamukam barrage or the bund shall be opened to the extent possible to facilitate natural flow of water, natural flow of storm water. A dynamism shall be maintained in opening and closing the shutters of the barrage. Right now what is happening is the mechanical means of opening as well as closing of the shutters is followed by the departments, the government departments. But whenever there is high tide time, the shutters are supposed to be closed quickly, and whenever there is a low tide time, water from the Kuttanad region, the southern region of Kuttanad, has to flow through the bund to the other side. So, such kind of a dynamism has to be maintained by the authorities in such a case, and that is not too difficult. With computerized shutters, you can do that for sure. Then certain methodologies have been proposed towards the end of this segment. You can see them one by one. So, a global or local hydrology survey of the locality has to be done through the institutions to assess land use, land cover, volume of water entry, volume of water exit, encroachments of people to wetlands, present volume of wetlands, etc. So, these parameters are extremely necessary when you are designing a flood mitigation or a flood adaptation system, especially the land use and land cover pattern. So, we have been doing a research upon this land use and land cover pattern based on the Landsat images, other satellite images. Based on that only, we came to a conclusion right now that 37% of the greater Kuttanad is now have built up area. 37% is built up area. The wetland has reduced to the extent of 83%. This is a comparison between 1973 images and 2020 images. So, there are other images available in between also. So, from a comparison, this has been arrived, but we have to have this such kind of a information available only as a global scenario, but through the satellite pictures. But local hydrology is also very important. How much water is passing through a shallow canal? How much water is passing through tributaries? Small tributaries, how much water is passing through small kind of drains in Kuttanad. So, for that we have to use some kind of flow meters and things like that, and institutions are supposed to be made use of for this purpose. So, these parameters are supposed to be found out as a survey. Then, well, this is something which we hear from everybody: removal of clay and silt from water bodies, facilitating water runoff. Slopes of beds of water bodies shall be designed accordingly. So, removal of clay and silt from water bodies can be done by a government mechanism. It is not a one-time process. It should be a continuously correcting process. So, the removal of clay and silt from water bodies is to be done so that continuous flow of water is to be ensured. It is not to increase the capacity of the water body, but to ensure the continuous flow of water. Wherever there is a hindrances, that is to be removed by such kind of a removal. At the same time, the slopes of beds of the water bodies, the river system, the canal system, the lake system, etc., they have to be designed so that water can run off very, very smoothly. I have seen when I travel through water bodies in boats, there are localized islands formed due to silt and clay deposition inside the canals. So, the bigger canals like Vemanad Lake, bigger lakes like Vemanad Lake, they have shallowed their depth because of silt and clay deposition. So, such kind of silt and clay deposition, they have to be identified, and they could be removed as far as possible, to the extent possible, and slopes of the bed shall be maintained so that water can run off very smoothly. Strengthening of polder walls using locally available and sustainable materials, very important. It is not that locally available materials, but it should be they should be sustainable also. Facilitating water flow, very important. So, you can go for bio bunds, at the same time protecting the sides from scoring. So, essential things are to be done, like granite pavement, there can be one among them. You can have unused or thrown away rubber say rubber tires of the vehicles, they can also be made use of, and other means. So changing the curvature whenever there is a possibility of scoring. So by appropriately designing the polder wall bunds, you can strengthen the polder walls for the water runoff, facilitating water flow for sure. Establishing decentralized or clustered sanitation systems. Toilet rooms and waste disposal shall be treated separately, very important. So sanitation is a very grave issue in Kuttanad for sure. So we have started one particular exercise in Kainigiri Panchayat with the help of in the Integrated Rural Technology Center Palakkad to develop a sanitation policy, sanitation system for that place. So there not only the toilets the waste disposal is taken very seriously, but the toilet rooms also, because the rooms are subjected to settlement, so we have to take care of that. And for waste disposal, inoculums are supposed to be developed which could dissipate the waste within maybe a few days. The current inoculums, they take much more time for dissipation of waste. So these things are under research, and suitable technologies would evolve in sooner than later. Promoting rainwater harvesting. So for drinking water purpose, the best way out is promoting rainwater harvesting. It is available in many parts of Kuttanad for sure, but the maintenance of these things, the rainwater harvesting tanks, is an issue. So let us promote that, and moreover, conversion of the interior ponds in Kuttanad. There were plenty of ponds available in Kuttanad earlier, and those ponds were made use of for drinking water purpose and water to be used for kitchen purposes, cooking purposes. But many of those ponds are now filled up with soil, and people started constructing their houses above that, because lands are very scarce. Land is very scarce it is a scarce commodity, so people started constructing their houses above such kind of ponds. But wherever the ponds are available, they have to be preserved now, because they can be good drinking water sources, because the alignment, the soil which is aligned on the sides of this particular ponds, they are impervious. So the impervious nature of soil does not allow the waste from other parts of the locality to come inside that pond and the water to be contaminated. So you can make use of this and ponds. One such exercise has been done in Pulingunnu Panchayat. So with the help of the MS Swaminathan Research Foundation, we have constructed a natural filter inside a pond, at the center of the pond. Natural filters like filtering materials, larger pebbles to smaller pebbles were used over there. Activated carbon is also used over there, and that particular pond is working properly and giving good potable water or drinking water to the people around. So water purifiers, as it is discussed over there. So promoting rainwater harvesting, conversion of interior ponds with impervious walls to water purifiers through establishing natural filters. That's also to be promoted. Then all the constructions are to be engineered for sure. So engineer all the construction activities considering it as a special zone. That is very important. You cannot import a design and install it over there. Copy design shall be avoided. That is what we learn from experience. A panel of engineers may be formed for this purpose. This can only be suggested, but the authorities have to take a decision upon this. Establishment of production centers for value-added products from water hyacinth. Water hyacinth is a menace in the place. And the municipalities of Alappuzha and Changanasheri are spending crores of rupees every year to remove this water weed from the water bodies of Kuttanad. So if that is a menace, why can't we convert the water weeds, the kind of water weeds, into other products? There are people who are doing that. There is a research center in SD College, Alappuzha, who are doing the, say, conversion of this water weeds into ornamental, say like papers, like other kind of ornamental articles. So we can convert this water weeds into for construction activities. You can make so the fiber can be made for construction activities. You can make it as a fodder. You can make it as a fuel. You can convert that into you can use that for water purification purpose, because it has water purification property. The heavy metals which are in the water bodies, they are removed by the roots of this water hyacinth by itself, so we can make use of that. You can also make use of this water hyacinths for many other construction activities. So, this kind of research is going on in the university for this purpose. So, once the results of the research is available, then you can make proposed construction centers, the production centers in Kuttanad for converting the water waste into usable products. Other waste materials like the parts of coconut tree, parts of rice husk, etc., this also can be made use of for other purposes for sure. Now, a very important thing is that Kuttanad has been recognized, as it is given in the first segment of this course. Kuttanad is recognized as one of the globally important agricultural heritage systems by the United Nations. So, this can be exploited to the extent possible. So, even though this came into existence in 2013, people did not make use of it to the extent possible. So, this has to be all the items which are coming out of Kuttanad, including rice, including the value added products, etc., they have to be branded under a Kuttanad product. So, that is possible. So, such kind of business opportunities are also there. So, people can explore into this. Then further, ensure engineered road construction, very important. Plenty of roads are available in Kuttanad. So, all the roads are supposed to be engineered, but many of them, as we have recognized in the case of Alappuzha-Changanaശ്ശേരി road, it is settling down because the subsoil is clay soil. So, ensure engineered road construction, specifically preparation of base, sub-base with indigenous soil stabilization methods. So, the kind of soil stabilization techniques which we have discussed in the previous segment, some of them can be applied over here, and at occasions we have to see that when water is flowing crossing the particular road, we have to give some sluices through the road so that the water can go to the other side. So, whenever there is a construction of a road, we have to take care of the bearing capacity of the soil as well as the water runoff, facilitating water runoff. That is what is given towards the final line of that particular methodology. Then water transport has to be promoted to the extent possible. People would like to travel faster for sure. That is why roads came into existence, but water transport is also to be promoted, and water tourism shall also be promoted for sure. Health center with facilities for research of health of people in Kuttanad, that shall also to be established. So, this is associated things. It is not part of engineering, but these are kind of social issues which could be taken care of by other departments. So, these are some of the proposed methodologies for the environmental issues of Kuttanad. And finally, after these 9 sessions, the course is going to be concluded with a few remarks as follows. So, the lessons from Alappuzha Canal rejuvenation, Pavam Canal experiments, and the Tumburam pilot projects shall be extended to other polders of Kuttanad. Very important. So, the lessons learned from them, the protocols which are framed from these projects, they can be extended to the other polders of Kuttanad for sure. Sustainability in construction and empowerment of society shall be aimed at. So, this not only improves the engineering of the locality, not only improves the such kind of projects in the locality, but the empowerment of people also will be aimed at in such kind of projects. Then water shall be permitted to rest in identified wetlands and paddy fields of Kuttanad and facilitated to run off to the sea through the water bodies following the tidal effects and the outlet capacity. This is discussed already, so I do not spend much time upon this. Further, policies shall be made to restrict the land use and land cover, extremely important. So, this is a matter to be taken care of by the policy makers. Then an agriculture calendar, it is already there for sure. It shall be prepared and at the beginning of every year, and the farmers shall be educated to follow the same. Now, what we see is that there is change of climate every year. So, depending upon the change of climate, the agriculture calendar also has to change. So, when you have to actually go for starting the agriculture, and when you have to harvest from the, so till all the processes are supposed to be calendared. In the calendar they have to be marked, and accordingly the farmers are supposed to be educated. Paddy and fish cultivation shall be promoted rather than multiple rice crops to reduce adverse flood effects. It is also discussed in the previous slides. Then paddy island inhabitants. So, there are some pockets inside the paddy fields where the people are residing. So, those inhabitants may be relocated so as to avoid recurring flood adversities. That is also very important. Further, confronting against natural forces leads to disaster. So, we cannot actually fight against flood, we cannot fight against other kind of natural forces, we call them as natural forces. Let us better live with nature, the lesson of adaptation. So, better to have be adapted to the forces of nature rather than confronting with them. That is the point which is given here as a philosophical point. Avoid sites which fall in line in river basins, etc., with possible stormwater flow for construction. Let the rivers and streams flow by their own. So, let them flow by their own, don't intervene their flow, and don't construct your houses during the, say on the path of the flow of the river, for sure. Then trees teach us a great lesson, for sure, how to anchor a structure, our structures. Let the soil beneath our structures act monolithically with the foundation, right. So, the roots of the trees, they hold the soil very firmly. We have also seen during some of the landslides, the locations where said trees are deep rooted, those locations were not demolished by the landslides also. So, we can learn from that, and accordingly we can design our foundation, design our soil stabilization techniques, so that the soil beneath the foundation act as a monolith with the foundation and act together with the structure. Then soil stabilization, distribution of loads to larger area, reduction of load of superstructure, use of eco-friendly materials, etc. They are the basics to construction engineering. So, this is the basic things, and we can follow this. Further, several indigenous techniques can be adopted judiciously and knowing the soil, very important. Let us not obstruct via throwing waste or filling free flow of water in natural streams, thus reduce retention period of water to minimize the effect of floods. Well, those points are discussed in detail, so I do not go into detail of this. Many technologies could be suggested, but behavioral change of human beings and societies are expected. So, this is the most important thing. That is what happened in Alappuzha. During their canal rejuvenation, during their soil waste management, the behavior of the people has been changed, and that is how they achieved they became one of the best cities in the entire world, recognized by the UNEP in the context of soil waste management. So, behavioral change is expected in the place than technologies. And finally, let us strive together to bring back a sustainable Kuttanad ecology through the right understanding and eco-friendly engineering. So, we are now sitting in a state of climatic change, continuous climatic change. The sea level is getting raised up every year by a few millimeters. So, we have to be very careful, because the many places in the state of Kerala are low lying, like Kuttanad. And if it is not protected properly by engineering means and social means and other environmental means, then the place may be inundated in water forever. But we should not do that. We have to do our bit to do this. We engineers, the scientists, the technocrats, and other people around, those who are watching this course, everybody is responsible for bringing up not only the place Kuttanad, but the other places where you are actually living from the ill effects of this climatic change. So, with this note, I thank everyone for watching all these sessions, and once again thank you very much.